In this video, I'm gonna show you how to never get ghosted in your video business again. But first, let me know if this situation sounds at all familiar. So let's say you're in a meeting with a client, maybe it's a discovery call, and you have a great meeting. Client is excited. They seem like they are ready to move forward, and you have good rapport built with them, and they seem to be excited about the video and the project in general. And then they ask you to send over a proposal. So what do? You spend hours making a very pretty proposal. It looks really nice, it's got your branding, it looks very professional. So you send it over, and then guess what happens? You never hear back. Has this happened to you before? If so, then I think you're really gonna like this video. And this was a mistake I was making for a really long time in my production company, and the reason why I couldn't land 5 to 10K plus video packages. I would have great meetings. Some of them would be 1 to 2 hours or more long. We would talk all about the video, all the bells and whistles, what cameras we were shooting with, what the objectives were. But there was one very important element that I was missing for years, and it was costing me so many deals. And this whole sequence here would happen to me over and over again. I would send out these beautiful proposals for exactly what my clients wanted, and then I would just never hear back. And so the problem here is there is a key element and a key step missing right about here. And this is what we're gonna dive into this video. All right, so what is the missing gap here? Why are your clients ghosting you after they seem excited and you have this great discovery call, and then when you send that proposal, you never hear back from them? What is the missing gap that I am talking about that is gonna enable you to finally charge, 10K plus, but much more, up into 20, 30, 50, 100K project proposal ranges by addressing this missing gap? What is that? The missing gap that's gonna allow you to not get ghosted ever again is before you send your proposal and your client asks you at the end of the meeting, hey, this all sounds good, why don't you just go ahead and send us a proposal, and then we'll go from there. The gap is right in between those two steps, and it is simply to talk about their budget. Now I get it, bringing up budget at the end of an amazing call seems like maybe a vibe killer, or there might be something there, at least if you're like how I was in my line of thinking. I almost felt bad bringing up budget. I almost felt like icky having to bring up budget. But the truth is, the budget is just another key ingredient in your project that has to be addressed, or just like cooking, if you're missing one of the key ingredients, then it's just not going to work. No matter how excited your client or you are to get started on this project, if you're not in line in terms of where you both need to be in terms of budget, the project is not going to be able to go anywhere. So the next time your client asks you to send over a proposal and you haven't talked about budget yet, be the one to address the elephant in the room and ask about budget. And look, here's the truth. It doesn't have to be awkward. It's only awkward because you're probably, and this is kind of the truth, you're probably just making it awkward. If you just confidently ask them what their budget is, confidently just ask for their budget, and it can literally just be as simple as, great, I'm excited to work on this project. Before I send over a proposal, I want to just first make sure we're at least in the same ballpark when it comes to budget, because if we're not, as much as I'm going to want to be able to help you guys, I'm just not going to be able to. So I just want to make sure we're a good fit there first. So that being said, do you guys have a budget in mind for a project like this? You can pretty much repeat what I just said word for word to get your client's budget. Now, I'd say about half the time, maybe a little bit less, they're just gonna tell you, they're just gonna reveal it to you. But a lot of the time, they're also experienced in sales, and they know the first person to reveal their budget in a negotiation has the lower ground. So they may not tell you, or they might say something like, well, we're not entirely sure. Why don't you tell us what something like this might cost? If that's the case, I want to show you a little strategy that I call budget hacking to get your clients to reveal at least their potential budget. So budget hacking goes like this. Basically, you give them a huge range, and the important key here is that you start with the higher number first. This is going to anchor in their mind, which is called price anchoring, the higher number. Just think about how this sounds if you were a client. So let's say I'm the videographer, you're the client, and I say, yeah, this project could cost anywhere from 3 to 10K. Now imagine if I said, yeah, this project, something similar, could go anywhere from about 10K on the high end down to about 3K for something pretty simple. In which example did the 10K seem less? Of course, it was in the second, because nobody wants to pay a premium. Everyone wants to feel like they're getting at least some sort of a deal, but at the same time, the truth is nobody wants to be cheap. So when you start with the higher number and you say this could be anywhere from 10K on the high end down to about 3K for something simple, it makes them feel like, well, we don't want to be cheap and go with the 3K. So maybe something in the middle, is kind of where most people tend to settle. Okay, so now that you know how to bring up and present the budget, where does the hacking come into play? So the hacking part comes in because if you do this correctly and you start with a high enough number, you usually evoke some sort of emotional reaction from your client where they go, oh my gosh, well, we're definitely not trying to spend 10K on a video, but maybe somewhere closer to 3, 4, 5K is kind of what we were thinking. By just giving them a range and some numbers to start with, they oftentimes just emotionally respond and at least give you some insight, some information as to if they're closer to the higher end, the lower end, or they might just tell you then and there they don't even have that 3K to reach your minimum. And at that point, you don't send a proposal over, you don't waste a bunch of your time, and you let them know that you're not going to be a good fit. Or maybe you lower the deliverables to meet their budget. So that's budget hacking. You now have at least a little bit more insight, a little bit more information as to where their budget might be so that you can continue that conversation further. And this is just a little hack. This is just something that's going to help you justify those higher premium prices. But of course, you still have to be great at what you do. You still have to be an excellent communicator, and you have to be bringing real value to the table. Doing this alone is not necessarily going to land these types of deals for you. Just a little trick to keep in your back pocket. Okay, so now you know the secret to not getting ghosted after sending out a proposal is to bring a budget on that discovery call before creating a proposal that might take you hours and hours just to never hear back. You know the first step now is to bring up the budget, and you now have a little bit of a hack, of course, that we just talked about called budget hacking, that's going to help you get your client to actually reveal their budget, or at least a range. Now I just want to break down, why this is so crucial, why bringing up budget on that discovery call is going to be the key for never getting ghosted again. The reason discussing budget on the initial discovery call as a part of the discovery phase before going into the proposal creation section of the process is because, frankly, we're not in business to create proposals and make no money. We're here to shoot videos, get paid, and make a great living doing it. If you never discuss budget in the discovery phase, you're just going to be wasting your time creating proposal after proposal only to never hear back because let's say you quote 5K and your client in their head, they were wanting to spend $500. Of course, when they see your proposal for 5K and you hadn't previously discussed budget at all, that's going to be way out of their budget. You guys didn't discuss that, and you're going to have lost that potential client. Now, had you had brought that up in the discovery phase, it would have done two things. Number one, it would have saved you a ton of time because you may not have even had to create that proposal if they were so out of the budget ballpark, as I said earlier in this video, that you could just move on to the next and you could spend that time more wisely prospecting with people who actually might have a better budget to pay you. Or number two, you might be able to adjust the deliverables then and there based on their needs and lowered your budget a little bit and still landed the deal. When you wait till after that meeting and you're sending them the proposal via email, it's just too easy for them to not respond, see it and go, oh, yep, that's too much, and just go cold turkey and just ghost you. So all in all, if you keep sending proposals out and you don't hear back, or your clients keep telling you it's just way out of their budget range, start having the budget conversation in that initial discovery call. You probably will feel awkward the first couple times, and that's okay. That's just a part of the learning process. Whenever you do anything new for the first time, it's gonna feel a little bit funky, but put in the reps, don't be too hard on yourself, and eventually you won't be bothered by it, and it'll just be a part of your process that's gonna allow you to make so much more in your video business. So if this video is helpful, give it a thumbs up, give it a like, and I also have a free training down below that's gonna go much more in depth into the entire step-by-step process it takes to scale a 6 or even 7-figure video business. This is just one of literally hundreds of steps that you have to master regarding this whole business side, pricing, sales, negotiation, all that stuff. And the video down below is gonna walk you through the whole process even more in depth. I think you're gonna love the training I have linked below, and I'll see you guys in the next one.